Welcome, dear listener, to JadeFox Tales, where ancient myths become the dreams into which you softly descend. I am most grateful for your company this evening and for the quiet moment you have chosen to spend here. Tonight, we journey to the warm skies above the island of the Philippines, where the sun and the moon are said to move in quiet longing, forever crossing paths yet never remaining side by side. It is a tale of love, of distance, and of the gentle, unspoken bond that endures even when two paths may never fully meet. For in these old stories, not all connections are meant to be held, and yet some remain constant and unbroken across time and sky alike. You need not follow each word too closely. Should your thoughts begin to wander, you may let them do so. And if sleep should find you before the tale has reached its end, you may welcome it without concern. The story will continue, whether heard or not, as the sun and moon continue their quiet journey across the heavens. Before we begin, let us allow the day to fall gently away. Take a slow breath in and let it go again unhurried. There is no need to guide the breath, only to notice its quiet rhythm. Well beyond this moment may wait. For now, there is nowhere you must be, and nothing that requires your attention. And so, in this quiet interval, we turn gently towards tonight's tale, a story of the sun and the moon, and of the quiet love that moves between them. And now, dear listener, let the body rest, let the mind grow still, and allow yourself to drift as the story begins. Long before the quiet villages, coconut groves, and warm coastal waters of Philippines were known to sailors and travelers, the heavens above those islands were said to be very different from the sky we know today. In that distant age, the sun and the moon did not wander the skies separately. They lived together. Side by side they crossed the heavens, bathing the world below in a strange and wondrous light, a mixture of warm golden brightness and gentle silver glow. The forest shimmered beneath this dual radiance. The seas glimmered like fields of glass, and the stars, seeing no place for themselves within such brilliance, hid quietly beyond the horizon. The two celestial spirits who ruled the sky were not merely lights in the firmament. They were living beings. The radiant Lord of daylight was the sun, bright, warm, and powerful. His presence filled the sky with life-giving light that nourished forests, fields, and every growing thing upon the earth. Beside him traveled the moon, serene, thoughtful, and graceful. A soft silver glow soothed the oceans and painted the clouds with quiet beauty. Though their natures were different, they were deeply fond of one another. Indeed, many ancient storytellers say that the sun and moon were not merely companions of the heavens. They were lovers. In those early days, the earth was never dark. Golden sunlight and pale moonlight mingled constantly across the sky, creating a world of endless brightness. The people who lived upon the islands marveled at this unceasing glow. Fishermen could sail across the sea at any hour. Farmers could tend their fields without pause. Children played beneath the shining sky long after they would have slept in later ages. Yet as time passed, the people began to discover something curious. Without darkness, the world never rested. The birds sang without pause. The forest never slept. Even the waves upon the shore seemed restless beneath the constant light. And so the elders of the villages sometimes whispered among themselves. Perhaps, one would say quietly, the sky would be gentler if the sun and moon did not shine together always. But such thoughts never reached the heavens, for high above the island, the sun and moon moved happily through their eternal sky. The two celestial spirits were said to dwell within a palace of clouds that floated far beyond the reach of mortal sight. Its halls were formed of golden light by day and shimmering silver mist by night. From its high terraces, one could gaze across the endless ocean of clouds that stretched above the world. There, the sun often stood, radiant and energetic, watching the forests and seas below with lively interest. Beside him, the moon would sit quietly upon the cloud-woven balconies, her soft glow reflecting upon the drifting vapors of the sky. "You shine very brightly today," she once remarked gently. The sun laughed warmly. "I must," he replied. "The world below depends upon my light." The moon smiled in a calm and thoughtful manner. "And yet," she said softly, "even the brightest light must one day rest." The sun considered this with wild amusement. "Rest," he said, "but the world is so beautiful when we shine together." The moon did not argue. She merely gazed downward toward the distant seas, where waves glittered endlessly beneath their joined light. In time, the sun and moon were blessed with children. They were curious little beings made of sparks of light, some bright and fiery like their father, others pale and gentle like their mother. The celestial palace soon rang with laughter and playful wandering footsteps. The children laughed to drift through the clouds, chasing streaks of sunlight and weaving trails of pale silver glow through the sky. Sometimes they peered down at the earth below with endless fascination. "What are those tiny lights?" one asked, pointing toward the island where villages glimmered faintly beneath the sky. "Lanterns," the moon replied softly. "Humans use them when the clouds grow heavy." Another child asked, "Why do the people sometimes close their eyes beneath the bright sky?" The sun answered proudly, "They are grateful for the warmth of our light." Yet the moon, ever thoughtful, watched the earth with quieter eyes, for she had begun to notice something her radiant companion had not. The world below seemed weary. The birds flew more slowly. The people sometimes shaded their eyes from the endless brightness, and the forests themselves seemed to long for a moment of shadow. One evening, though evening meant little in a sky that never darkened, the moon stood alone upon the balcony of the cloud palace. The sun was busy guiding the warmth of his light across the distant oceans, and the children were playing among the clouds nearby. The moon gazed thoughtfully at the world below. "Perhaps," she murmured quietly, "light is more beautiful when it is allowed to fade for a while." Just then the sun returned, glowing warmly as usual. "What troubles you?" he asked kindly. The moon hesitated before replying. "Have you ever wondered," she said gently, "whether the world might benefit from moments of rest?" The sun tilted his head. "Rest from our light?" "Yes," she replied, "only for a time." The sun laughed softly. "My dear moon," he said, "the world loves our light too much to ever wish for darkness." And so the matter was set aside. Yet somewhere deep within the quiet heart of the heavens, a change had already begun, for the sky, like the sea, is never truly still, and the story of the sun and moon had not yet reached its most fateful chapter. In those early ages, when the radiant sun and the gentle moon traveled together across the heavens, the sky above the island of Philippines remained forever bright. Golden warmth and silver light mingled endlessly across the firmament. The sea shimmered like polished glass. The forest glowed beneath the twin radiance, and the clouds themselves seemed almost luminous as they drifted lazily across the sky. Yet the longer this brilliance endured, the more the world below began quietly to change. The fishermen who sailed upon the warm waters found their eyes growing weary beneath the constant light. The farmers who tended their rice fields worked without pause, for the sky offered no clear moment for rest. Even the birds who once sang joyfully from the treetops began to seek the shade of thick leaves where they might close their eyes for a time. But the most thoughtful observer of all these small changes was the moon herself, for the moon, serene and observant by nature, often spent long hours gazing quietly upon the earth below, and what she saw caused her gentle heart to grow troubled. One evening, though evening meant little in a sky that never dimmed, the moon stood once more upon the balcony of the cloud-woven palace she shared with the radiant sun and moon lovers. Below her stretched the wide oceans and countless islands of the world. The waves glimmered endlessly beneath the joint light of sun and moon. Yet the land itself seemed strangely restless. The moon watched as the villagers beneath the coconut groves lit small lanterns beside their homes, not because the world had grown dark, but because they wished to soften the brightness of the sky. A quiet sigh escaped her lips. Perhaps, she'd murmured softly, Even beauty must sometimes withdraw for a while. Just then the sun approached, glowing with his usual warmth and energy. His golden light spilled across the cloud palace like morning itself. "You look thoughtful tonight," he said kindly. The moon turned to him with a gentle smile. "I've been watching the earth," she replied. "And what does it say?" the sun asked. The moon hesitated before answering. "I believe the world is growing tired." The sun regarded her words with mild surprise. "Tired," he said, "but our light gives life to everything below." "That is true," the moon answered softly. "The forests grow strong beneath your warmth, and the oceans shimmer beautiful beneath our shared light." The sun smiled proudly. "Then surely the world is grateful." "Oh, it is grateful," the moon replied. "But even gratitude does not remove weariness." The sun folded his arms thoughtfully. "You suggest we dim our light?" "Only for a time," the moon said. "Perhaps if we did not shine together always, the world might find moments of peace." The sun considered this idea carefully. To him, the sky had always been a place of brilliance and motion. The thought of dimming that brightness seemed strange indeed. Yet the moon's words carried the quiet weight of wisdom. "Perhaps," he said slowly, "there may be something in what you say." Meanwhile, there many children played joyfully among the drifting clouds. Some darted through the sky like sparks of golden fire. Others floated gracefully through the mists like pale silver lanterns. They laughed as they chased one another through the endless brightness of the heavens. Yet even the children had begun to notice the strange restlessness of the world below. One small child, whose glow shimmered softly like a star yet to be born, peered curiously toward the distant islands. "Why do the people close their doors sometimes?" the child asked. Another answered with childish certainty, "Perhaps they are playing a game." But the moon, hearing the voices, approached gently. "They are resting," she explained. "But why must they rest?" asked another. The moon smiled softly. "Because all living things need moments of quiet." The children seemed puzzled. The sky they knew had never been quiet. Later that same day, the moon returned once more to the sun. Her voice remained calm, yet her eyes carried a thoughtful seriousness. "I believe I've discovered a way," she said, "a way to help the world below." The sun listened with interest. "What do you propose?" The moon gestured towards the sky. If you were to travel across the heavens during part of the day, and I were to follow after you during another, the sun's eyes widened slightly. You mean we should take turns shining? Yes, the moon replied gently. In this way, the world would know brightness and rest. The sun looked out across the vast sky they shared. The idea was unfamiliar, yet not entirely unpleasant. If I depart the sky for a while, he asked, will you not grow lonely? The moon smiled. The sky is white, she said, and love does not vanish simply because two hearts travel different paths for a time. The sun gazed thoughtfully at the clouds drifting below. Perhaps the moon was right. Perhaps the world below would indeed benefit from moments of quiet darkness. But before he could speak again, the laughter of their children echoed across the sky, and with that joyful sound, the heavens themselves seemed to tremble with a curious change, for the great transformation of the sky had already begun to gather its quiet momentum. As the sun and moon pondered their new plan, the children of light continued their playful wandering across the heavens. Some drifted far beyond the palace clouds. Some explored the edges of the sky itself, and some gathered curiously near the horizon, where the brightness of their parents' light faded ever so slightly into pale twilight. It was there that the first faint glimmer of darkness appeared, a gentle shadow, a whisper of night. The children stared at it in wonder. What is that? One asked softly. The moon watched from afar, her expression thoughtful, for she knew that the world below had long awaited such a moment. Yet she also sensed that the coming change might not unfold as gently as she had hoped. For the heavens, dear listener, are vast and powerful, and even the smallest alteration to their ancient rhythm can set great events in motion, events that would soon transform the sky forever. In the quiet ages that followed, the people of Philippines would look upwards and remember this moment as the beginning of a new celestial dance, the dance of day and night. Yet the story of how that dance truly began has not quite reached its most important turning. In the quiet ages, when the heavens still shone with the joint radiance of the sun and moon lovers, the sky above the island of Philippines remained endlessly bright. Golden warmth and silver glow mingled across the clouds. The sea shimmered, the forest gleamed beneath the unbroken light, yet beneath this splendor a change had begun to stir, one that neither the radiant sun nor the thoughtful moon had yet fully understood. For their children, made of living sparks of light, had grown numerous. They darted through the heavens like tiny comets. They raced one another through cloud and wind, and though their laughter filled the sky with joy, their playful wandering created a brilliance even greater than before. Soon the heavens glittered not only with the light of the sun and moon, but with the relentless glow of countless celestial children. From a quiet balcony of clouds, the moon watched the world below with growing concern. The island lay beneath an ever brighter sky. Fishermen shaded their eyes as they cast their nets. Farmers paused more often in their fields. Even the forests themselves seemed to long for deeper shades beneath their towering palms. One evening, if such a word could be used in a sky that never darkened, the moon spoke gently to the sun once more. "Our children shine very brightly," she said. The sun looked proudly upon the heavens. Indeed, the sky sparkled magnificently with their playful lights. "They are lively," he replied warmly, "and the sky is richer for their presence." The moon nodded softly. "Yes, yet the world below grows weary." The sun frowned slightly. "What do you suggest?" The moon hesitated, as though reluctant to give voice to the thought forming within her heart. "Perhaps," she said at last, "the children should rest in the quiet parts of the sky, where the light will not trouble the earth so greatly." The sun regarded her words carefully. He loved his children deeply, yet also trusted the moon's wisdom. "If it will bring peace to the world below," he said slowly, "then perhaps it is worth considering." And before the matter could be settled, the children themselves had begun to create new troubles. For the young lights of heaven were endlessly curious. They darted across the sky without care for direction or balance. Some wandered dangerously close to the earth. Others clustered together so brightly that the sky shimmered like polished gold. One child, particularly bold and mischievous, descended so near the ocean that its reflection upon the water dazzled the fishermen below. Startled and confused, several boats nearly collided upon the dark sea. When the moon saw this, her gentle heart grew troubled. "Our children do not yet understand the weight of their brightness," she said quietly. The sun's expression darkened with concern. then they must be thoughts. The next day, the sun called the children together. His voice rolled across the heavens like distant thunder. "My little lights," he said firmly, "you must no longer wander so recklessly." But the children, young and spirited, continued to laugh and chase one another through the clouds. They did not mean disobedience. They simply did not yet understand the seriousness of their father's words. The sun's patience, so warm and radiant by nature, slowly gave way to frustration. "Enough," he thundered. At that moment, the sky blazed with sudden brilliance. The children froze in mid-flight. "You must learn that your light carries great power," the sun declared. Yet even as he spoke, one particularly playful child darted past him, scattering sparks of light across the clouds. And in that brief moment, the sun, whose temper, like his light, could sometimes grow fierce, lost control of his anger. With a great sweeping motion, he cast several of his brightest children far across the heavens. They flew outward like glittering embers scattered by a mighty flame. The moon cried out in sorrow. "Stop," she pleaded, but the motion had already been made. The scattered children drifted farther and farther into the distant sky. Their bright laughter faded into soft twinkling glimmers, and there, at the farthest reaches of the heavens, they remained, no longer wandering freely, but shining quietly from afar. As the first stars appeared in the night sky, tiny lights scattered across the darkness like scattered pearls. The moon gazed upon them with both wonder and sadness. "They are beautiful," she whispered, "but they are so far away." The sun, seeing the sorrow in her eyes, felt a heavy regret settle within his radiant heart. "I did not wish to harm them," he said softly. "You did not," the moon replied, "but they have been sent beyond our reach." The scattering of the children had another effect as well. With fewer lights shining near the earth, the sky slowly began to grow dim. For the first time since the beginning of the world, shadows appeared across the forests of Philippines. The villagers looked upward in astonishment. The sky was changing. The light of the sun seemed to fade slowly as he moved across the heavens. And when he finally drifted beyond the horizon, something remarkable occurred. The world grew dark, not frighteningly dark, but peacefully so. The moon rose gentle into the sky, her silver glow bathing the islands in calm, cool light. Below, the people stood quietly outside their homes. They gazed upward with wonder, for the sky had never looked so beautiful. The stars, those scattered children of the heavens, twinkled softly around the moon like tiny lantern bugs hung across the night. High above the worlds, the sun and moon stood apart for the first time. Between them stretched a great distance of sky. The moon drifted slowly across the quiet darkness. The sun lingered beyond the horizon, his golden light warming lands far away. For a long moment, neither spoke. At last, the moon said softly, "Perhaps this was always meant to be." The sun's voice carried across the sky like a distant glow. "You wished for the world to rest, and now it does." The moon gazed upon the peaceful islands below. "Yes," she said gently, "but I did not realize that rest would mean we must travel separate paths." The sun answered with quiet tenderness. "Even when we walk different roads, the sky still belongs to us both." And so the great change of the heavens was completed. From that day forward, the sun would travel the sky during the day. The moon would follow during the night, and the scattered children of light would watch over them, all as the stars. Yet though the sun and moon no longer shared the same sky, the old storytellers say their love did not fade. Instead, it became something more subtle, a quiet longing written across the horizon itself. For there are brief moments each day when the sun begins to set and the moon begins to rise, and the two celestial lovers glimpse one another once again. In the quiet ages that followed the great scattering of the children of light, the heavens slowly settled into a rhythm that the world had never known before. Above the tranquil islands of Philippines, the sky now possessed something new: silence. Not an empty silence, nor one filled with sorrow, but a peaceful stillness that allowed the forests, seas, and villages below to breathe and rest. When the radiant sun rose over the eastern horizon, its golden warmth spread across the mountains and the long curving shores of the islands. Rice fields shimmered in his light. Palm leaves stirred softly in the warm breeze. Fishermen pushed their boats into the gentle morning tide, and the world awakened beneath the steady glow of day. Yet, When the sun slowly descended towards the far edge of the sky, something wondrous would follow. The light softened, the colors of the heavens deepened, and from the east's quiet horizon there would appear the gentle silver glow of the moon. Thus began the great celestial rhythm that has continued ever since, the ancient dance of day and night. When night returned to the world for the first time, the people of the island stepped from their homes with astonished eyes. Above them stretched a sky unlike any they had seen before. The scattered children of the heavens glittered softly across the darkness. Each tiny star shimmered like a distant lantern hung upon the vast roof of the world, and among them travelled the graceful moon, whose calm silver light bathed the forests and seas in peaceful stillness. The villagers spoke in hushed voices, for the night did not feel frightening. It felt gentle. The birds had quieted, the waves lapped softly upon the shore, and beneath the calm glow of the moon, the earth seemed finally able to sleep. High above, the moon gazed upon the resting world with quiet satisfaction. The earth needed this peace, she whispered softly. Around her, the scattered stars flickered with faint and distant laughter, the lingering echoes of the children who once played freely among the clouds. Though they were now far away, they had not truly been lost. They had simply found new homes within the quiet reaches of the sky. Meanwhile, the sun traveled across the heavens during the hours of day. At first, he found the new arrangement somewhat lonely. For ages beyond memory, he and the moon had shared the same sky. Their light had mingled across the clouds. Their voices had echoed through the bright palace of heaven. Now the sky felt strangely white. Yet as the days passed, the sun began to notice something that eased his heart. The world below flourished in ways it never had before. The farmers rose with renewed strength after the restful night. The forests grew thick and vibrant beneath the balanced rhythm of light and shadow. Even the ocean seemed calmer beneath the moon's gentle watch. Perhaps he realized the moon's wisdom had been right all along. Light alone was not enough. The world needs darkness too. Though the sun and moon now traveled separate paths across the heavens, there remained a few brief and precious moments each day when their journey brought them near. These moments occurred when the sun approached the western horizon and the moon began to rise from the east. At such times the sky glowed with colors unlike any others. Soft gold blended with silver light. Clouds shimmered with shades of rose, violet, and pale amber. The world below called these moments dawn and twilight, but the ancient storytellers of Philippines sometimes spoke of them differently. They said these were the quiet meetings of the sun and moon lovers. For just a short while, the two celestial spirits could see one another once again across the sky, not closely as before, yet near enough to exchange a silent greeting. Good evening, the moon might whisper as she rose, and good morning, the sun might reply as he departed. Their voices never reached the earth below, yet the colors they painted across the heavens were their gentle farewell. High above them all remained countless stars, those bright children who had once laughed and played freely through the sky. Though they now rested in distant reaches of the heavens, their light had not faded. Instead, they had grown quieter and more patient. Each night they watched over the moon as she traveled her peaceful path across the darkness, and each morning they slowly faded as the sun returned with its warm golden light. In this way the family of the heavens remained together, though separated by distance. The sun guided the brightness of day, the moon guarded the calm of night, and the stars kept their silent watch across the endless sky. Generations passed upon the island. Villages grew beside rivers. Lanterns glowed beside quiet homes. Children lay beneath the open sky and listened to the stories told by their elders. And among those stories was always the gentle legend of the sun and the moon. They told of a tale when both lights shared the same sky. They spoke of the playful children who became the stars, and they remembered the moment when the heavens themselves changed forever. Yet the storytellers never spoke of the tale with sorrow, for though the sun and moon were separated, their love still shaped the sky each day. It lived in the colors of sunrise. It glowed in the quiet silver of moonlight, and it shimmered in the countless stars scattered across the night. So when you see the sun slowly sink beneath the horizon, and when the moon rises gently to take a place among the stars, you may remember this ancient tale from the island of Philippines, a story of light and patience, of love that travels separate paths, and of the peaceful rhythm that allows the world to rest. For the sky, like the sea, moves in quiet cycles that have lasted longer than memory itself. Days follow night, night follows day, and somewhere within that endless rhythm, the sun and moon still greet one another across the horizon, their voices carried not by words, but by the gentle colors of dawn and twilight. And so, dear listener, as the stars settle softly above, and the world grows calm beneath a distant glow, our story too comes quietly to rest. Good night.